Hi, I'm Mr. Harris, and this is Practice With Me, where we get better together. Today, we're going to practice putting together the clarinet and how to hold the clarinet. Again, today we're going to practice putting together the clarinet and how to hold the clarinet, okay? So let's go and practice together.
All right, now let's put the clarinet together, okay? Now, what we're gonna need is all the parts of the clarinet right here, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 parts in total. So like I said with the saxophone, this is really 2 parts, but I like to consider it one big part, okay? So, how this is going to work. First, I would recommend you get some of this, what we call cork grease. Again, you don't need this, like I was saying in my saxophone video, but it will definitely help you if you use some, all right? So you wanna take that cork grease and you wanna put it all around this part of the clarinet mouthpiece, which is called the cork, okay? Then what I'd recommend you do, you take your pinky and you rub that into the cork, okay? Try to have a napkin off to the side so you can wipe your finger after, okay? Because we don't really wanna rub this onto our pants because grease doesn't really come out too well, all right? So we're going to just, again, wipe that off onto a piece of paper, all right? Then we're gonna take off this next part, which is called the ligature, okay? We're gonna take that off because the ligature is going to come on later on, okay? Next, we're gonna take this part, which is the barrel of the clarinet, called the barrel, okay? Now, we're gonna take the smaller end, not the bigger end, but the smaller end, and we're gonna gently push and twist this piece right here with the mouthpiece, okay? Again, we're gonna gently push and twist this with the mouthpiece. Now, if we do this bigger part on the ends, as you can see, it's not gonna stay nice and snug, so we need to use that smaller part, okay? We're gonna gently push and twist, okay? Gently push and twist. This one you might need to get a little more grip on it, so push and twist until we have this part right here, okay? We want this. Now next, what we're going to do is we are going to place this part on the next part of the clarinet, okay? We're gonna take this part right over here, which is the top of the clarinet body right here, okay? Sometimes you'll see a logo right here, like in this case it says Yamaha, but it won't always say Yamaha, but you'll see this key right here and these keys right on the side. So that's how you know it's the top, okay? The other side has these pieces on the left, okay? These keys that look quite a bit different, okay? So not to be confused with the two, all right? Then what you're gonna do, again, be careful not to grip down too tightly on these keys of the clarinet, okay? What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this part and you're gonna gently push and twist that onto the clarinet, okay? Now before I do that, I'm gonna put just a little bit of cork grease here as well, just to make it a little bit easier for us, okay? So again, rub that in with your pinky. And again, wipe that pinky off on a napkin that hopefully you have by your side at this point, okay? Then you're gonna gently, again, gently push and twist, push and twist. We want this part on the back of the mouthpiece to line up with this right here, okay? Be careful, we don't want this flat part of the mouthpiece on top, okay? We wanna make sure that's on the bottom, and the logo side of the mouthpiece, or the back of it, which is this rounded part, is on top, and that lines up with this, okay? Now, this next part is very, very important, okay? It's very important. What you're gonna do is you're going to need to press down on a key before we put these two parts of the clarinet together. If you don't press down on this key, you're actually probably going to damage the clarinet. So you gotta be very, very careful. So, not the first key, but the second one here. Again, not the first one, but the second one, we're gonna press that down with one of our fingers, and then we're going to gently push and twist the clarinet onto there so that this right here lines up with this part right over here, okay? So when it's on, this is gonna be underneath this part right here. So again, you're gonna press it and you're gonna push and twist. Again, I'm gonna add just a little bit more cork grease just to make our lives a little easier, okay? I would recommend you use more cork grease than less because, again, you wanna be very careful when you're putting these instruments together, all right? So again, you press down on that key, you take this part, you gently push and twist, and you wanna line this up so that this part right here is on top of that part when you let it go, okay? And you wanna make sure that's lined up nice and snugly. Let's see if you can see it right there on that side, okay? And last but not least, we are putting on the bell of the clarinet, okay? Which is this part that flares out at the bottom, all right? So again, gonna apply some cork grease, some more cork grease all around, okay? All around, and then we're gonna add on the barrel of the clarinet. Again, gentle, be careful, don't press too hard like this. Be careful, gently push and twist, okay? You wanna get a grip on it, but again, be careful not to press down these keys too hard, okay? Be very, very gentle, okay? So you wanna be here, push and twist, okay? So that it's on there just like that, all right? Now, the last part of this process is getting it to make a sound, which would involve putting this reed on the clarinet right over here, okay? Again, putting a reed on the clarinet right over here on this part, which we're gonna look at right now. All right, so now we're gonna place this reed on the clarinet. We're gonna learn how to put that all together. So first off, you're gonna need the reed. You're gonna need this clarinet mouthpiece attached to the barrel, which is attached to the body, okay? And last but not least, you'll need this metal part, or it could even be rubber in other cases, called the ligature, okay? So you're gonna take this reed first of all, and you're gonna take the reed and put it in your mouth. You're gonna wet both sides of this reed. Now, after we wet both sides of the reed, what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the reed on the side that has either numbers, words, or whatever else in the back. As you can see, my reed says Van Doren Paris on the back and has a 3 there. So you're gonna take that side, not the other side that's round, but this other flat side. And that's gonna go flat against this part right here of the mouthpiece, okay? That's gonna go nice and flat, okay? Now, we want to line this up so that when we put the reed there and we press down gently, we don't see any black on the top or on the bottom, for example. This right here would be too low because you can see the black on top. Now, we also don't want the opposite. We don't want this too high. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. Where you can see the reed past the clarinet mouthpiece. We don't want that either. We want it so that when you put the reed up, again, and you press gently down, whoops, you don't see any black showing. You see that? Nice and snug, and there, whoops, and there is no black showing. What you're then gonna do is you're gonna take that other part, the metal ligature, okay? You're gonna want the screws on the right side, and you're gonna gently, be careful, take that ligature, and it's gonna go onto the clarinet mouthpiece just like that, okay? Once that's nice and in the center, you're gonna tighten both sides, turning away from yourself, okay? So you're gonna tighten it, not super tight, but just tight enough so the reed is nice and snug on there, okay? Usually I tighten it and then I loosen it up ever so slightly. And then you just want to double check, give it a little push. Don't see any black on the top right there, and don't see any reed sticking over the top there, so we're good. So that's how you put the reed onto the clarinet mouthpiece. All right, now that we've finished putting together the clarinet completely, we're gonna talk about how to hold it, okay? Now we're gonna go to the back of the clarinet. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your thumb, and you're not gonna have your thumb straight, you're not gonna have it this way, you're gonna have your thumb at an angle like this, and it's gonna go right over this hole right here, okay? Again, your thumb at an angle, and it's gonna go right over this hole right here. We don't want it straight, and we don't want it to the side like this, because that's gonna cause us problems later. So let's fix it now by not doing it in the first place, okay? So you're gonna have your thumb, and it's gonna be at an angle, okay? Now moving to the front of the clarinet. We're gonna skip this key at the top right here, and this finger, our pointer finger, is gonna cover this first hole right here. Now, we wanna make sure that we are using the pads of our fingers. We don't wanna use just the top right here, but the pads of our fingers, because the pads of our fingers will help the hole seal correctly. If we just use this front part, some of that air is gonna leak out and that note won't come out, okay? So again, thumb there, first finger, the pad of the finger covering that hole. Okay, next, we're gonna have our middle finger covering over the second hole. Not this one, because that's not a hole, right? We're gonna cover over this hole right here with our second finger. And our third finger is gonna go right over here over that last hole, okay? So that is our left hand, okay? Again, that's our left hand. Now, we're gonna get to the right hand. You'll see on the back of the clarinet, there's this part right here. Now, we can eventually adjust this if need be with the screwdriver right here, a flathead, by loosening it and bringing this down. But for now, we're not gonna worry about that. We're just gonna bring our thumb up here, and that's where our thumb's gonna go. Now, our first finger, again, the pad of our finger is gonna cover up this next hole right here. It's gonna cover it up. Then our middle finger is gonna cover this next hole. And last but not least, our ring finger is gonna cover up this last hole here, okay? So holding the clarinet, we'll have this thumb right here. We'll have all of this just like that, and we'll have it right in front of us, okay? Now I'm gonna show you from a different angle just so you see what that looks like. And here you have it again. Thumb there, first finger on the hole, second hole, third hole. That pinky is just gonna hang out over here for now. I didn't say much about the pinky, but it's just gonna hang out for here, right over here right now, okay? And next we have 1, 2, and 3, and thumb underneath, and that last pinky is gonna hang out over here as well. So this is how we hold the clarinet, okay? Now, at different times, we'll need to hold or lift up different keys. So we wanna be able to balance the clarinet on this thumb right here, and we also wanna be able to balance it over here, okay? So we have all of our fingers, and even when we're not pressing down on one of the keys, what we wanna do is we wanna hover above the key. We don't wanna do this, for example, if we're not pressing down on those. We wanna be, again, hovering above the keys at all times, okay? Great job putting the clarinet together and learning how to hold it. Now, we've talked about how to hold the clarinet, but we haven't yet talked about how to hold it in what we call playing position. Again, we haven't talked about how to hold the clarinet in what we call playing position. So what you're gonna do is, when you're about to play, you are going to hold the clarinet like we were talking about before. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna gently bring the clarinet up to your mouth. Now in our next video, we're gonna be talking about how we put this clarinet mouthpiece in our mouth and form what we call the embouchure, okay? But for now, all we need to do is, again, we're gonna bring the clarinet gently to our mouth like so. We want to have it nice and balanced, our feet flat on the floor, our back straight. And now we're ready to play. So that's how we hold the clarinet in, again, what we call playing position. Great job today learning how to put the clarinet together and learning how to hold it. You should be super proud of yourself because the clarinet is a hard instrument to put together. But I'm sure if you keep practicing with me, you'll be fine and you'll learn to be an expert at putting the clarinet together. On our next episode of Practice With Me, we're going to be looking at making our first sounds on the clarinet. So stay tuned for that and have a fantastic day. I'm Mr. Harris and this is Practice With Me.